everyone. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness, broadcasting from our studio in Edmonton, Canada. It's Monday, June the 28th, 2021 on this side of the world. And a good Tuesday morning, magandang umaga to our viewers in the Philippines. In the news, we have updates from several of our correspondents from across North America. Rendell Fajaran in Seattle, Washington.
Washington State copes with record-breaking heat.
Mila Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection's Driving PA Forward program celebrates 1,000 electric vehicle chargers installed statewide.
We'll talk with Anna Cui in Las Vegas, Nevada.
COVID-19 cases are on the rise in Las Vegas.
And Eli Austria in Pasadena, California.
California Highway Patrol and the Los Angeles Fire Department rescue 7 ducklings and their mother.
Arlene Rivera in Humboldt, Texas tells us about Houston's bike share program. Oh, and for our roundtable tonight, let's talk about how 1,000 words, that's right, 1,000 words, are painted with a single click. Our coverage begins now. It's day 5 for rescue workers combing through the rubble looking for survivors from that collapsed condo building in Florida. Earlier today, Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava revised the death toll, now at 11. Today, relatives of missing residents of the Champlain Towers were allowed to visit the site. They boarded buses to have a first-hand look at the scene. Desperate families fear for the worst as workers toil in the scorching temperatures and high humidity. Cava promised that officials will find the cause of the collapse.
There is going to be a thorough and full investigation of what led to this tragic event. We are going to get to the bottom of what happened here. Right now, our top priority is search and rescue and find the people.
At the site of the collapse, there is still some hope survivors may be found. Sniffer dogs spent the day going over the rubble. Paramedic Margarita Castro says they have not given up hope, but she says they must work carefully.
We have the potential for having void spaces. We have these pockets that could potentially be in the rubble where we can find live victims. If we just jump on this pile and just attack it, we will collapse these void spaces and there will no longer be an opportunity to find a live victim.
For those waiting to hear the fate of their loved ones, that wait is agonizing. Western Canada and the northwestern United States are being baked in an unprecedented heat wave. Records are being smashed as temperatures soar to well above seasonal averages. And forecasters warning of worse to come. In the state of Washington, Eagle News correspondent Rendell Fajaran says people are beginning to cope with the extreme heat.
Thank you so much, Thomas. A city that is hugged up against the cool temperature of Puget Sound is not escaping this record-breaking heat wave. Today, the high here in Seattle is 106 degrees Fahrenheit right now, which is 2 degrees more than yesterday. Sunday reached 104, breaking the record of 103 degrees recorded on July 29, 2009. Washingtonians are not accustomed to this kind of heat. We are nestled in the Pacific Northwest, on the coast, by the beach, and by the cool waters of the Puget Sound. Reports indicate that half the population has air conditioning, not to any surprise, as Seattle has only hit the 100-degree mark 3 times in the last 125 years. As what was tweeted by the Seattle Weather blog, in the span of 3 years, Seattle has now accomplished what took 125 years before, reaching 100 degrees Fahrenheit on 3 separate occasions. To most, this intensity of heat is debilitating without proper cooling systems. People are on the market trying to purchase portable AC units. Consumers are finding it difficult to snag one. However, like one of our EBC friends here in Seattle, she was able to find one and place an order. Guess when it's expected to arrive? Later on this week when the temperature has tapered. There's even a scarcity with ice, actually. People are dodging the heat by clicking or by checking into the hotels. Reports mention that hotels are booked out and prices have skyrocketed. People are also going to the malls, to restaurants, just to cool off with the AC. It's worth reporting that per Washington State Energy Code, new residential homes should all have air conditioning. So the next time we are dying for cool air, we know which neighborhood may host that AC party. Speaking of party, Washingtonians are relentless and are still finding ways to make the best of it with a smile. Let's hear from a couple of our locals.
I mean, normally it's probably like maybe 60, 70 degrees is a great day. Everybody's outside in shorts and t-shirts. But this is ridiculous. I feel like I'm in the desert or something.
It's hot. I mean, you just stand around and you're like, you can't breathe. It's so hot, at least for me.
Definitely have to wear shoes.
Yeah, the pavement, even
It's
grass,
really
you're
hot.
just like, whoop, no thank you. Go back inside.
I couldn't agree more to what they had just said. And amid this heat, people are outdoors finding ways to cool off. For local parents, we are living vicariously through our children as kids slip and slide out on the front lawn when temperature is not at its peak. People are spending time together by the Puget Sound, relaxing on the waters, going kayaking, boating. People are out on the shore during bearable climate or spending time in the outdoors as safely as possible. Which actually leads me to the safety tips provided by the Washington Health Department. We have to stay hydrated, help those who are vulnerable or at higher risk. If you do go outside, protect yourself from heat and sun. If you are working outside, try to plan strenuous activity for early or late in the day when temperatures are cooler. If you notice symptoms of heat illness, dizziness, nausea, headaches, muscle cramps, act immediately. Avoid extreme temperature changes. For example, taking a cold shower right after coming in from the heat or jumping into the cold water when swimming outside can cause rapid changes in your breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure, and could even cause hypothermia. Follow water safety tips if you go swimming or boating. Remember that swimming in open water is very different from swimming in a pool, and make sure to wear a life jacket that fits you. Before lighting any outdoor fires, for example, fireworks this coming July 4th, check for restrictions or warnings in your area. High temperatures and dry conditions increases wildfire risk. I'd also like to leave you with an additional tip that is refreshing and colorful. This is a tactic that local Homer Ignacio and his family are doing to cope with this mad heat. They cut and they dice fresh fruits, as they are known to be naturally charged with electrolytes. To name a few, mouth-watering watermelon, mangoes, cantaloupe, and honeydew, apples, and pears. They also like to hydrate with plenty of water. For Homer himself, since he works and spends plenty of time outdoors, he packs sugar-free Gatorade. This heat too shall pass. Until then, let's be mindful, stay cool, and check in with one another, and let's cope with this heat together. From Seattle, Washington, I'm Frenzel Heron, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Frendel, how hot is it there?
106 degrees, Thomas.
106 Fahrenheit, and that translates to about 42 degrees Celsius. And I got to convert that for our folks who live outside of the United States. They're all on Celsius, you see. Up here, we're at about 36 degrees, which is 97 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're feeling the same thing up here as you are. It's just a little bit cooler, but you wouldn't know it. I think when you get above 35 degrees, you really don't notice the difference. We say the same thing when it's cold. Once it hits minus 30, it can go to minus 40. How do you tell the difference? You don't. It's just plain cold. And I think that's where you're at there. It's just plain hot.
It's just hot. It is just hot, Thomas. I used to have lipstick right before this live broadcast, but it just melted away. I got no more lipstick.
Just running down your chin there.
Right.
But I got to ask, to cope with this, I think I hit something there, and I just muted myself. I got to ask, do you have a central air conditioning system?
So here in our home, we do not have a central air conditioning system. So what we did, this actually was just last year during this time of heat wave. Well, it wasn't this extreme, but it was this one night and it was just so hot. And my husband was like, I cannot do this. We went on Marketplace and we just purchased a brand new portable AC unit that we have on our first level and the second level of our home.
I see.
Helps a lot.
Here we have a basement, so it's actually relatively comfortable down here, and that's kind of where we're living for the next probably week to week and a half. We just go upstairs when we have to, but at least it's finished and it's cool. It's cool, but folks in a bi-level home, of course, it's not so cool. How are you and your family coping with the heat?
You know, we are making do with what we have. Just last night, our daughters, they're 14 and 12, they ended up bringing their one of our inflatable mattresses into our room because we had the AC unit, and we just had a big sleepover. You find us, gathered around our AC unit downstairs. We don't do much activity if we're at home because it's just debilitating when it's just so hot. You don't really want to do anything, but we're in it together, and we're making the best of it.
Yeah, I don't even want to eat. I think I'm living on 2 meals a day, and I'm having to force myself to eat that second one when it's this hot. You just don't have an appetite. Is that the same with you?
That is the same with me. But you know what I have an appetite for though? Chips and candy and all the bad stuff, and some fruits. You see those pictures right there? Yes.
The chips I can understand, so you get the salt, but the candy and stuff, I don't know. Even that, I love to have pie, and I don't even have a craving for pie now. But it sounds like you're coping fairly well there. But I gotta wonder, if you didn't have that portable AC, if you didn't have that unit, what would your life at home be like?
We wouldn't be at home, Thomas. We would be at the beach. That's where we would be.
Sleeping outdoors.
Sleeping outdoors. Sleeping outdoors. And just in fact, yesterday we took a trip out to Grayland Beach. It's about a 2-hour drive. And by the time we got there, it was already like 7 p.m., which was great. It was perfect. It was 80 degrees. And it was just awesome. That's how, that's one of the ways that we cool down. But yeah, if we didn't have AC, we would have a bunch of ice packs on our bodies, some cold towels on our bodies, or we would just spend time at the mall or in our car with the AC running. Yeah, we would spend less time inside the house for sure.
Well, thanks for keeping us updated, friend Dal, and do stick around because we want to talk to you later in the program at our roundtable. Photography being the topic tonight. Do stay cool and stay safe. The COVID file now in Italy. It's maskless Monday. Face masks no longer required as the country continues to emerge from the pandemic. These scenes you see here are from central Rome. And while many people are enjoying the freedom, others say they're just not yet comfortable enough to go maskless. Variants of the COVID virus are a concern among many. And a common sentiment among many is they are scared. Now, that fear may be well-founded if they're following the news out of Australia, where the new restrictions have been imposed. The Delta variant rearing its ugly head in at least 4 cities: Brisbane, Darwin, Perth, and Sydney. In Sydney, there's a 2-week lockdown. Restaurants, bars, cafes, they've all been shuttered. Stay-at-home orders in effect. Police are on patrol to enforce the restrictions. The Australian government is under fire for a slow vaccine rollout. Now, the government isn't releasing any official figures on how many people are fully vaccinated, but the figure is reported to be around just 5%. People on the street, though, seem to accept what is happening with the lockdown.
happy ends quick and the quickest we get it over and done, mate. But it doesn't look like it. People don't listen.
I wasn't surprised. Maybe it could have been sooner.
At the moment there's a spike, like what else can you do? There's only a few things that they can, so I understand, and better safe than sorry, yeah.
Let's look now at today's COVID-19 numbers provided by the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. As of 6 p.m. Eastern Time today, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide now more than 181,197,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases: the United States, more than 33.6 million. India, more than 30.2 million. Brazil, more than 18.4 million. And sadly, 3,925,000 lives worldwide have been lost to this virus, almost 4 million now. Top three countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths: the United States, more than 603,000. Brazil, more than 513,000. And India reporting more than 396,000 deaths. Incidentally, the number of COVID vaccine doses administered worldwide, more than 2,921,000,000. So we're coming up on that 3 billion mark, but a long ways to go. A volcano in the Central American country of Costa Rica has rumbled to life. The 3-minute eruption happened about 6 o'clock this morning. It spewed a 2-kilometer column of smoke into the air. No word on any evacuations. Nearby communities have been warned to be careful on rivers. These eruptions can cause strong river currents. The volcano is in one of the country's national parks. And a birthday celebration in Taiwan. The country's second giant panda cub, its name is Yunbo, turned 1 today. Yunbo means round baby in Mandarin. So staff at the Taipei Zoo were not going to let this milestone pass without a party. And they even observed a Chinese custom called a vocation grab. Now, this is where parents put out a number of items representing different professions near a 1-year-old baby. And they want to see which one the child will grab first. What choices were given to Yun Bao? Well, veterinarian, zookeeper, corporate CEO, jobs that could help conservation. But Yun Bao, he went straight for the one marked nutritionist. And before the party ended, Yun Bao and Mom enjoyed a fruit ice birthday cake. And I just want to say, happy birthday, Yun Bao. Up next, we have stories from Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Eagle News America continues.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
The state of Pennsylvania now has 1,000 charging stations for electric vehicles. Joining us live now from Pennsylvania to tell us all about that, EBC's Mila Simbulan. Thank you for joining us, Mila.
Thanks, Thomas. So Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, or DEP, Secretary Patrick McDonald announced that 1,000 Level 2 electric vehicle chargers have been installed statewide with funding from the DEP Driving PA Forward program. McDonald celebrated the milestone at Neighbors and Smith Retail Center in Camp Hill, Cumberland County today, which installed 4 chargers with Driving PA Forward funding. Take a look.
We are here celebrating our 1,000th charger installed across the state using Driving PA Forward dollars. It's important to have the charging infrastructure for electric vehicles because as we see more electric vehicles being bought, we're seeing the air quality improvements from that. We're seeing the environmental improvements from that. We're seeing the health benefits of that in terms of reduced nitrogen oxide emissions, reduced particulate matter being emitted as cars drive up and down the road.
Driving PA Forward funded chargers have been installed by companies, organizations, and condo or apartment complex owners at more than 300 locations in 39 counties and in a variety of communities across the state, including in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Allentown, Braddock, Harrisburg, Oil City, Pottsville, Tunnahawk, and many other communities. More than half the chargers were installed at public places, about 1/3 at workplaces, and the remainder at multi-unit residential properties. The Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, or DCNR, has completed 12 charging projects at state parks with Driving PA Forward funding. While charging your car in the parking lot, you can also visit shops in the surrounding areas, which help small business owners boost their sales. Here's Michelle Koch, co-owner of One Good Woman, to tell us more. Take a look.
Having customers who are a little bit more green-minded coming into our store, they're looking for products that are more sustainable and more eco-friendly. They're just naturally drawn to those types of products. So that's caused us, when we do our buying, to start looking for products that are more locally sourced, sustainable, and just eco-friendly.
According to the most recent data available from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, or PennDOT, 28,460 electric vehicles, or battery and plug-in hybrid, were registered in Pennsylvania as of February. This is significantly more than about 3 years ago, when 11,347 electric vehicles were registered in December 2017. There are now more than 1,600 public Level 2 chargers that can be used by any vehicle at more than 800 locations throughout the state. Information on how to apply for funding to install a Level 2 charger may be found at Driving PA Forward. Level 2 program is one of 8 Driving PA Forward programs that are using Pennsylvania's $118.5 million settlement from the Volkswagen emissions cheating scandal to drive the transition towards zero and low-emission vehicles and equipment and accelerate installation of related infrastructure. Driving PA Forward is investing the maximum amount allowed by the settlement to support charging infrastructure nearly $17 million. DEP also supports increased electric vehicle use through the Alternative Fuels Incentive Grants Program, which supports electric vehicle adoption by companies, government offices, and organizations, and targets funding to develop fast charging corridors around the state in a joint effort with PennDOT. The DEP Alternative Fuel Vehicle Rebate Program provides rebates to consumers for electric vehicle purchases. Thomas, for the weather, it's about 10:05 here in Swarthmore, and there's an excessive heat warning. And it's currently 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 21 29 degrees Celsius with clear skies. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Milo Simbula and Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
So it sounds like the whole country is being baked. It's heating up there. What's the long term look like? Over the next few days, is it going to get warmer? Do you have heat warnings?
Yes, it will get warmer till tomorrow, Tuesday, and then on Friday, it will go back to the 70s. So it's just a couple of days.
So just short term. We're stuck with it here out west with, probably for the next week. But anyway, tell us more about the Driving Pennsylvania Forward program.
So Driving PA Forward was launched in 2018. It has the goal of permanently reducing nitrogen oxide air pollution in Pennsylvania. That's about 27,000 tons by supporting cleaner fuel transportation projects with funding from the Commonwealth's $118.5 million settlement with Volkswagen. Driving PA Forward includes 8 programs that fund a range of new transportation projects to improve air quality and help slow climate change. Thomas?
One of the hesitancies I've had about electric vehicles is of course, how do you recharge them? It's not like, with a gasoline vehicle, you go down the block and you find a gas station. It's a little harder to find a charging station. Are there going to be sufficient chargers? Is the state planning on installing more of them?
Where there's actually, the plan is there will be additional 140 funded charging station projects in progress. And then they will add at least 500 more plugs and bring the number of counties with at least one charger funded by Driving PA Forward. Thomas?
Sounds like we're back where gasoline-powered cars were in the 1920s, where filling stations, gas stations were few and far between. Things are changing and things will evolve. I've got to ask you, though, do you want a hybrid or perhaps even an electric vehicle?
No, not right now. And I'm not seeing it in the future as well. As the same sentiment that you have, Thomas, because I have a friend who has an electric car, and one of the challenges that he's facing is every time he needs to drive to his sister in New York, he has to plan it ahead of time because it's 300 miles away. And more than 300 miles away, and the electric car that he has once you fully charge it, it only goes up to 300 miles. So you have to plan it. Is there a charging station between where you're coming from till your destination? Because there's not too many chargers in the area yet. So that will be a challenge. So what he did is he's still keeping his gasoline car with him so that, if he needs to go further than 300 miles, he needs to use the other car. So yeah, that's one of the challenges. So yeah, for now, I'm still sticking with the gasoline powered cars. Thomas?
Yeah, it's like it was 100 years ago. You still hung on to some horses because the Model T might not get you there.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us, Mila, and do stick around. We'll talk to you at the round table.
Later, Thomas.
I don't like the sound of this. COVID-19 cases on the rise in Las Vegas. Joining me now, EBC's Anna Cui. Anna, just how serious is this?
Yes, Thomas, thank you. It's not unexpected, right? Since the full reopening in Las Vegas, COVID-19 cases have increased according to official dashboard with 861 new cases reported today. Clark County, where Las Vegas sits, showing 243 daily new cases. That's on a 14-day rolling average, compared to 153 a month ago. And that's as of the latest data released. The county's test positivity rate also jumped to 5.2% from 3.8% just a week ago, Thomas. And that's where it was at 3.4, 3.8 just before June 1st. The health district is also reporting, unfortunately, an additional 3 deaths, bringing the total to 4,483 here in Clark County. Health officials also say these numbers should serve as a reminder for the public that the pandemic is not yet over. We keep hearing that over and over again. And according to the release statement, District Health Officer Dr. Leguen said that as the community began the process of reopening, as I've said, this increase in cases is not unexpected. However, he did say it's very preventable. It's important for the public to continue to take steps to protect themselves and others, including getting fully vaccinated and getting tested when needed. Thomas, the vaccination rate here in Clark County has slowed down significantly over the last month. We're talking about a daily average of at least 54% less compared to a month ago. And most of them, we don't have any more mass vaccination sites. They've all closed down. But, vaccination is everywhere. Local pharmacy, you can pretty much walk in now and get vaccinated. And as you recall, initially, the goal to fully reopen here was to reach 60% of the population to have at least one dose of the vaccine. And here we are a month later with July 4th just being next week already. We are at 52% of the people eligible have initiated vaccinations, and just a little over 43% of the eligible population is being fully vaccinated. I guess you can say that's inching closer to that 60% goal. Now, one factor that they did start to report is the number of hospitalizations related to COVID-19 breakthrough infection. And to date, there's a total of 54 cases. 76% of them were at least 65 years and older, and 87% of that total number had underlying health conditions. Health officials say, as we have also repeatedly heard, based on the information currently available, the vaccines that are authorized offer protection against the new variants that are circulating. And in addition to decreasing a person's risk of getting seriously ill or being hospitalized, health officials can't stress it enough. Getting fully vaccinated is important to mitigate the new variants from spreading in the community. In Las Vegas Eagle News, Anna Cui, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Anna, it sounds like there's a bit of hesitancy there by some people to get vaccinated, and that seems to be a North American-wide problem right now. It's easy to get that first 50, 60%. People are all enthused. But then you start, we're running into it up here as well. You start running into the hesitancy. Now you mentioned some data about breakthrough infections. Do you know if they're caused by one of the variants?
Yes, so the reported data shows only one of them showed as the Gamma variant. That was the first variant identified in Brazil. But the other 53 out of the 54 shows unknown. There's this big concern for the Delta variant that's really driving up some of the cases in a lot of places here in the U.S. and everywhere else. And there was the news about the Delta variant being present here in this community last month. But as of the data, it shows unknown for the other 53. Thomas?
I'm wondering how much of an impact this might have on tourism. How busy is McCarran, the airport there in Las Vegas?
Well, it's not scaring off anybody, Thomas. With the full reopening, and then as we heard last night, and one of our correspondents reported the opening of a Resorts World. The airport has been very busy. McCarran International, according to their latest passenger count, they exceeded 3.5 million passengers from last month, May 2021. Now, compare that to, we're not going to compare it to May 2020, of course, but compared to May 2019, that's only 23% less. So it's really picking up. And then you have July 4th, just next weekend. There's a lot of excitement about a lot of different property hotels will be holding fireworks displays, and a lot of people are planning to celebrate. Thomas?
Sounds like it's coming back. Thanks, Anna, for the report, and do stick around, and we'll see you at the round table, okay?
Thank you.
Still to come, we have stories from California and Texas. This is Eagle News America.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know in these interesting times. we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Watching Eagle News America, I'm Thomas I. Likeness. Well, here's a heartwarming story from the law enforcement file. The California Highway Patrol and the Los Angeles Fire Department, well, they rescued some ducklings and their mother. Eagle News correspondent Eli Austria is standing by in California with details on that story. Eli, tell us all about it.
Hi, Thomas. Good evening, and thank you. The day-to-day operations for the officers of the California Highway Patrol, or CHP, and Los Angeles Fire Department, or LAFD, continue to be busy and filled with common animal rescues. Just this past weekend, CHP and LAFD officers rescued a mother duck stranded on the 101 freeway and her 7 ducklings stuck in the storm drain off the same freeway in Woodland Hills to safety. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning when 911 calls from residents were received, reporting that ducklings were attempting a multi-lane freeway crossing right behind their mother. In response to the calls and to ensure the safety of wildlife, the California Highway Patrol stopped traffic and proceeded to escort the birds off the dangerous freeway. Unfortunately for them, safety measures ran afoul when the skittish ducklings waddled away from the intervening humans and straight into trouble, unwittingly choosing a storm drain of all places to get stuck in. Fortunately for them, the plucky mother tarried close by, delaying her walk, and gave the firefighters time to arrive to mount a rescue operation. Working fast, firefighters were able to reunite the family, none the worse for wear, except for maybe, let's say, a few ruffled feathers. Thankfully, neither bird nor people were harmed during this incident, and the 101 freeway was reopened shortly thereafter. It was a happy ending for everyone and everything involved. According to the Wildlife Conservation and Management Program of Rutgers University, it is a common occurrence for ducklings to get stuck in storm drains, as they can intentionally duck in or accidentally drop down through the openings of these storm sewer grates. The mother duck can easily walk across these grates with no danger to herself. However, the problem lies on the little ducklings who trail right behind her and either go in or fall through these openings when crossing the grates. The situation becomes heart-wrenching, if anything, just to look at the mother duck panicking and going around the storm drain, making loud quacking noises. Many of us can empathize with the plight of this mother duck, similar to parents looking for their missing or endangered children. In Pasadena, California, Eli Austria, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Eli, a story with a happy ending, and it's not the first time we've heard of duck families trying to cross the freeway. What's one of the reasons for this, and is there any advice for people that might come upon a sick or an injured animal?
Right, Thomas. So according to the Los Angeles Department of Animal Services, now is actually the time of year when young animals start to wander from their dens and nests to explore their surroundings, and ducklings will follow their mothers wherever they go, even if it's across a busy highway, as we just learned. So now the best thing to do for wildlife is to leave them alone if they are not causing danger to anyone or to themselves. This includes making sure our pet dogs or cats don't mingle with them. However, if it can be safely done, people are requested to bring sick or injured animals to a nearby animal services center. Or if they prefer, we can also call in for help through one of those various California wildlife centers. Thomas?
Thanks for the report, Eli, and we'll see you at the round table. Well, how can you make your daily commute healthier? Well, if you're in Houston, Texas, the city has a bike share program. And with details on that, we hear from EBC's Arlene Rivera.
Thank you, Thomas, and howdy from the Lone Star State. When was the last time you went out for a bike ride? On Saturday, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner was spotted on the social media taking one of Houston's B-Cycle's electric bike for a spin around the parking lot. As part of Houston's bike share program to promote sustainable living, Houston B-Cycle aims to promote equitable access to bikes that foster recreation, mobility, and personal wellness. This 501-C-3 nonprofit organization envisions a city where everyone in Houston has access to bike for work, play, and transportation. Bike sharing is also perfect for leisurely rides around the city and provides a healthier way to commute to work or school. With 128 stations and 1,000 plus bikes available throughout the city, Houston B-Cycle can help Houstonians get to where they want to be. How does it work? Guest users can grab a bike from any B station and pay as you go with a credit card at the kiosk or on the mobile app. Members, on the other hand, can use only the kiosk and the mobile app, but also an RFID card. Once you have your bike, enjoy your trip and ride safely. Guest rides are a flat rate of $3 per 30 minutes, whereas Houston B-Cycle members get the first 60 minutes of every ride for free. After you completed your trip, return the B-Cycle to any B station in the network to stop the clock on your ride. Give the bike a firm tug to make sure it is securely docked. While the standard costs for non-members are $3 per 30 minutes, e-bikes are $5 per 30 minutes. A monthly membership of $13 per month provides unlimited hour-long rides per month with contactless checkout throughout the app or RFID key fob. Members can register online at any station kiosk or mobile app. E-bike rides cost $1 per 30 minutes. Any overage fees will be charged on the next business days. Members get great discounts at local establishments. Please note that a $26 per bike pre-authorization fee is issued on all rides, but is removed 1 to 7 business days after the bikes are safely and firmly returned to any of their stations. Using this bike share system, Houstonians can skip the traffic, see their city on 2 wheels, #Keep Houston Rolling. For more information, visit HoustonBcycle.com. Meanwhile, I hope you are staying safe and healthy in your part of the country. In Houston, Texas, I'm Arlene Rivera. Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
And an inexpensive and healthy way to get around. Up next, our roundtable, Smile for the Camera. That's right, we'll talk about how your pictures paint 1,000 words. You're watching Eagle News America.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
It's National Camera Day. You know, we kind of take those things for granted now. You can take a picture anytime, share it with anyone we like, take multiple pictures, but it wasn't always that easy. Tonight, our esteemed roundtable participants will tell us about some of their memorable pictures, and I want to find out from them what their first cameras were like. Oh, and do they remember something we used to use for photographs? We called it film. That's right, film is what it was called. So let's focus in on the topic and see what develops. Friendel, we'll start with you. I haven't seen you on the program in a long time. What was your first camera?
My first camera was my parents' camera. I don't remember ever owning one of my own until the cell phones came around. But I remember having to wind up, wind it up and take your photo. And I do remember my parents telling me to not waste a shot because you were limited, right? Because it's film. And so, so my parents' camera was my first.
Film cost money. And that's why I don't have a lot of pictures from way back. I think I got about 6 of my entire broadcast career, which spanned 37 years, because we all thought, well, number one, we're going to be doing this forever. But number two, it was inconvenient. Film was expensive. You got rolls of 24 or 36 exposures. If you had a 35 millimeter camera like this, the back came off and you put your film in there and you took pictures. And then when it was done, you rewound it back into the little cassette, took it out. Sometimes you took it to the drugstore to get it developed. Other times you would mail it somewhere. But nevertheless, it was a few days. Oh, and then 1 hour processing came in. Oh, we thought that was just great, 1 hour processing. But again, it was expensive. You had to buy your film, and then you had to pay to get it developed. So, yeah, it just wasn't as easy. Anna, what about you? Did you remember film, ma'am, Anna? And have you ever used it?
Yes, I do remember film. And just like Friendel, I do remember having to, advance that the camera, right, to get to the next shot available. And the thing with film is, you mentioned it's expensive, and the other thing too is that you don't know until you develop it, like how many bad pictures you had, right? I mean, compared to now, where it's so convenient. You take a picture with your cell phone. You don't need to even adjust anything. Just take a picture. If it's blurry, if you didn't like the way it looked, you can easily delete it. Right, Thomas?
Yep, you're right about that. How many good pictures did you get out of a roll of film? When I shot for the university newspaper, they suggested if you, on a roll of 36, if you got 4 good shots, you were doing really good. Because, a lot of them, like you say, out of focus, just not quite the right angle. You maybe missed the action a little bit. And sports was really hard to shoot. Sometimes you had a 35 millimeter with a motor drive, but that used up your film really quick. Mila, do you remember film?
Oh, yes, Thomas. Actually, my first camera are those disposable film cameras, because I don't have a fancy one yet, my initial one, when I don't have a camera yet at that time. But then when I started working, then I bought myself, because I love taking pictures, so I bought myself a Canon one. And it's still film, and I have I love taking photos, but the one thing that's challenging to me is taking it for printing. I just have rolls and rolls of those films. I just put it somewhere and then forget about it. And then my friends keep asking me, where are the pictures? Well, I don't know. I don't know where I put the film, So compared now where you can easily share your photos, which is really a great feature. And that photo that you're seeing right now is the photo of my family. It's a photo I've taken from my phone, which is really convenient. And this is a special photo because this is the first time after 1 year or more than a year of being on quarantine that we went out for dinner. So that's why we have this as a memory. In the future, we'll tell my grandkids, okay, this is our post-COVID quarantine photo of my family. Thomas?
Yeah, you're right. We don't print them out like we used to. We don't. Anna, you had a picture that you supplied us with. We'll see if they can get it up on the screen. Tell us about that. And did you ever print it out?
No. And the printing pictures has actually been my daughter and I's long-standing project. We keep talking about, one day we're going to go through all the pictures, especially, the ones from when we go on vacation, and print out our favorite ones. Now, the picture that you're seeing there, one of them with the sunset, actually that's a sunrise, that was taken at the early, I believe, April last year, just, after the lockdown. My daughter, the night before, she had asked if we can, drive somewhere. This is the place where we drove. It's near Lake Las Vegas, I believe. And, she wanted to see the sunset. So that picture, I love that picture because it reminds me of, the initial lockdown and how she might have been feeling. She's a teenager, so not always open with, with how they feel. So that's significant for me. And then the other one is with her when she was maybe, I would say 8 or 9, and she was with her cousin at a overlooking a lake, and my cousin took that picture. I love that picture because it just shows, the innocence and the simplicity of, being a child and not having, not having any of the problems that we adults go through. Thomas?
I've got to find out from you, Eli. Did you ever use film, or were you strictly digital?
It's funny you bring that up, Thomas. So at the expense of maybe exposing how young I am compared to everyone else, my first camera was
calling us old.
It was on a phone, not a smartphone, but like a sliding phone. But I do have experience with film photography because I actually picked it up as a hobby about 2 years ago in 2019. So some of the photos that you're seeing here are some film photos that I took. Some of them are, like whenever I travel. Some of these are from New York in my trip last year before the whole pandemic hit. But I actually really enjoyed taking film photography, just learning about how, the antiquated way of taking a photo, especially now.
It's completely different. You get into the film speed, the f-stops, and you can push that film speed with. Did you do any of your own processing at all?
Right. So I just have the like a store develop the film, but then I scan all my photos myself because it saves a lot of money on my part. And plus it's kind of fun just to be able to have a part in that process of being able to be able to scan my own photos. So, a lot of my photos I take are like when I'm traveling, and then even of other people, I was able to have, the chance to photograph some of my friends for their graduation or for, their senior kind of like soccer photo, if you saw that one. It's just really fun. So I'm really enjoying film photography. I hope to keep it up. I wish I actually brought a collection of my film cameras just like you did, so that I can kind of show off my collection.
What are you using? Mostly SLRs or?
Yeah, so I have a point and shoot. I have a SLR, and then I do have like a rangefinder, like one of the really old ones from the 60s.
This is like 1956 vintage rangefinder. It's an Acon, one of the early Japanese cameras.
Yeah, mine is very similar. It's like my rangefinder is actually, if you remember from Spider-Man, I believe Peter Parker was using the same camera that I have. So a little piece of history.
That's amazing.
Just avoid Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Randell, we didn't get you to talk about your photo that was up there on the screen. Tell us about that.
Oh, sure. No problem. Let's see which one shows up first.
There we go.
Oh, okay. I love this one. This photo was just taken the other night, the one with the heart. That was taken from my husband with his iPhone 12 Pro Max. And the reason why that photo is so special is because this pandemic, one of the biggest goals for me as a mom to our daughters is that they develop their relationship as sisters. And thanks be to God, it was achieved, like it was accomplished. And to hear my girls say that from their own mouths just touches my heart. And so when they took this photo just yesterday, which is just days after they concluded their last school year, it just epitomizes their relationship throughout this whole pandemic. That beach there is Grayland Beach. It's about 2 hours away from our home, but we like to go there. In fact, yesterday was our second. Before yesterday, we actually went there the year before. So it's going to turn into our family tradition to go to that beach. And it's really nice because you can actually drive onto the shore. You can get as close as you want to the water. It's really awesome. And there's a picture of dinner. That was Subway. And the reason why that was so special is because, that photo it's an illustration of what you can do to help develop your relationship as a couple. That was my husband and me. As the girls were having their time by the water, we were having our couple time, having great exchanges and just admiring how responsible our girls have become and how much they've grown. And that dog that you see, that is a rare breed, purebred Commodore, which is my son. He is now 1.5 years. And he was supposed to come with us yesterday, but because it was so hot, we didn't want to keep him in the truck, like in the bed of the truck. So we tried putting him inside, but because he's gotten so big, when he gets up onto the girls, it hurts because he's so heavy. He's like 130 pounds. So we actually had to bring him back home. So he's not there with us. He wasn't with us yesterday, but he's an amazing dog, and he brought our family closer together, actually.
Before we wrap it up quickly, we'll go around the table once more. If you were to take a photo of something or someone, what or who would it be of? We'll start with you, Mila.
My plants. It's blooming now, especially my jasmine. The flowers, I love to smell it, and I love to take pictures of it.
Eli, what would be number one on your list of subjects to photograph?
It's really tough. I do like street photography, travel photography, but I do one day want to photograph like a vintage or retro car. That would probably be at the top of my list.
Anna, there's got to be plenty to photograph in Vegas.
Yes, there are, but I'm not really fond of taking. Well, it's not my one of my favorite things, but I would love another family picture because my son's not always with us. One of my other sons. So the next time we are together, I would love a family picture, an updated one.
20 seconds or less, Friendell. What say you?
All right. The first thing that came to mind was a smile, like emotion. I love capturing the good times because, like you said in the introduction, it just paints a picture of 1,000 words. And when you capture that emotion, it capulates just pure joy and the simple joys in our everyday life. So a smile.
Okay, and the picture I would like to take, it would be of our first responders, our healthcare workers, our essential workers of all types, everybody out there on the front line who saw us through the pandemic. They deserve to be in the picture all of the time. And let's show them our appreciation now for their work and recognize them with a round of applause. We appreciate you. And that's today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Thomas I. Likeness, and truly, we live in interesting times.